Imagine a moment so electric, so impossibly cinematic, that even people who despise golf found themselves frozen in front of their televisions with tears running down their faces. The 14th of April 2019. Augusta National. The azaleas are in full bloom, and walking up the 18th fairway, wearing that iconic red Sunday shirt, is a man who, by every reasonable measure, should not be there. A man who had 4 back surgeries. A man who was arrested on the side of a road 2 years earlier, barely conscious. A man who the entire sports world had buried, eulogized, and moved on from. Tiger Woods raises his fist as the roar from the crowd becomes something prehistoric, something that shakes the Georgia pines. He wins his 5th Masters title, his 15th major championship, and in that single, suspended moment, the most complicated, most gifted, most destructive, and most resilient athlete of the modern era reminds every single person watching that the story is never over until the person decides it is. That moment is the reason we are here today. Everything you are about to hear over the next 20 minutes is the explanation for how that moment became possible. Tiger Woods was not discovered. He was engineered. His father, Earl Woods, a former Green Beret and Vietnam veteran, picked up golf later in life and became obsessed with it. But Earl did not just want to raise a golfer. He was a man who had studied history and power, and he believed, with absolute conviction, that his son was going to be something the world had never seen before. He began introducing Tiger to the game before the boy could form complete sentences. By 18 months, Tiger was mimicking Earl's swing in the garage. By 2 years old, he was putting on national television on the Mike Douglas show, sinking a putt against Bob Hope while the studio audience erupted. Earl once said he did not teach Tiger to love golf. He simply made golf the language of their relationship. And Tiger learned to speak it the way most children learn to speak their mother tongue effortlessly, completely, and before they are old enough to question it. Kultida, Tiger's Thai mother, brought a steeliness and a mental discipline to his upbringing that matched Earl's ambition. Between the two of them, they did not raise a child who wanted to be great. They raised a child who simply assumed greatness was the baseline. What Tiger did as a junior golfer was not impressive. It was unsettling. He won the U.S. Junior Amateur Championship at 15, becoming the youngest player in history to do so. Then he won it again at 16. Then again at 17. 3 consecutive titles, a record that had never been approached before and has not been matched since. He then moved into the U.S. Amateur Championship and won that 3 consecutive times as well, from 1994 to 1996, while simultaneously attending Stanford University on a golf scholarship. The other amateurs who competed against him during this period have spoken in interviews about a feeling they could not quite name, a sense that they were not really competing against Tiger so much as watching him perform a task that was simply beneath his ultimate ceiling. He was not just winning. He was winning while operating well within himself, which is perhaps the most frightening thing one competitor can communicate to another. In August 1996, Tiger stood in front of a camera and said 2 words that announced the arrival of an entirely new era in professional sport. He looked directly into the lens and said, simply, "Hello world." The 1997 Masters was not a golf tournament. It was a coronation. Tiger Woods was 21 years old, a professional for less than a year, and he walked into Augusta National and proceeded to dismantle the golf course in a way that made experienced commentators genuinely struggle for language. He shot 18 under par. He won by 12 strokes. He set the tournament scoring record. He became the youngest Masters champion in history and the first player of Black and Asian heritage to win a major championship. But the number that people remember most is 12. 12 shots in a major championship against the best players in the world. The reaction from the golfing establishment was complicated. Some celebrated, others quietly panicked, because everyone watching understood that this was not a young player who had gotten hot for 1 week. This was a young player who was operating at a level that the sport had not previously encountered, and who appeared to be just getting started. Within 2 years of turning professional, Tiger had already rewritten what professional golf looked like, what it sounded like, and who showed up to watch it. The demographics of the galleries changed almost overnight. Between 1999 and 2001, Tiger Woods did something that no golfer in the history of the sport had ever done, and that the game's governing bodies had previously considered mathematically improbable. He won 4 consecutive major championships. The U.S. Open at Pebble Beach in 2000 by 15 shots. The Open Championship at St. Andrews by 8 shots. The PGA Championship. And then the 2001 Masters, which meant that at one moment in time, Tiger Woods held all 4 major trophies simultaneously. This became known as the Tiger Slam, and the debate about whether it constitutes a true Grand Slam or not is largely irrelevant, because the achievement exists completely outside normal sporting comparison. During this period, he was also developing a psychological weapon that was arguably more powerful than his physical talent. Opponents began losing before they teed off. Phil Mickelson, Ernie Els, Vijay Singh, all generational talents in their own right, admitted that knowing Tiger was in the field changed how they played. They were not competing for first place. They were competing for second, and they knew it. Tiger had colonized not just the leaderboard, but the minds of every man he played against. Then the foundation cracked. Earl Woods died in May 2006, and Tiger felt it in a way that no trophy or ranking could absorb. Earl had been more than a father. He had been the architect, the coach, the believer, the foundation beneath everything. Tiger wept openly after winning the British Open that year, the last major Earl saw him win, and something in his eyes in the aftermath photographs looks permanently altered. He continued to win, including a legendary 2008 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines, where he played on a fractured leg and a torn ACL and defeated Rocco Mediate in an 18-hole playoff, collapsing in pain after nearly every shot. It was the last major he would win for 11 years. On the night of the 27th of November 2009, Tiger drove his SUV into a fire hydrant and a tree outside his Florida home at 2 inches the morning. What followed was the most rapid and complete public unraveling of a sporting icon in modern memory. Affairs, tabloids, sponsors gone, a marriage destroyed. The image he had so carefully constructed over 14 years dissolved inside 2 weeks. He checked into a rehabilitation facility in Mississippi, and the Tiger Woods the world thought it knew effectively ceased to exist. What came next was a decade that tested whether there was anything underneath the myth. The back surgeries began in 2014, microdiscectomy procedures that each promised recovery, and each delivered only partial relief before the pain returned. A spinal fusion surgery in April 2017 was the procedure that doctors had resisted for years because of how dramatically it would alter his swing mechanics and whether it would even allow him to play competitive golf again. 2 months after that surgery, he was found asleep at the wheel of his car near his home in Jupiter, Florida, and arrested for DUI. The photographs from that arrest, Tiger looking hollowed out, barely present, circulated everywhere, and felt like a final confirmation of a story ending badly. He had dropped to 1,199th in the world rankings. He had not won a tournament in 5 years. He was 41 years old. Multiple former champions and respected golf analysts stated publicly and on record that his career was finished. And yet, in the back of his house, in the dead of a Florida night, Tiger Woods was swinging a golf club again. Slowly, carefully, finding out what his fused spine would and would not allow. Not because anyone expected anything, simply because stopping was not in the vocabulary. The 2019 Masters victory was the peak, but the closing chapter of the Tiger Woods story is not about victories anymore. In February 2021, he lost control of his car on a winding road in Los Angeles, and the vehicle rolled multiple times down an embankment. The injuries to his right leg were so severe that the surgical team discussed amputation. He survived. He underwent hours of surgery. He spent months unable to walk without assistance. And then in April 2022, he walked onto the first tee at Augusta National and competed in the Masters, finishing 47th, grimacing on almost every follow-through. His gait visibly compromised, his body held together by titanium and willpower. He did not win. He did not contend. And it did not matter in the slightest. Because what Tiger Woods represents at this point in his story has almost nothing left to do with trophies. He represents the answer to a question that most of us spend our entire lives avoiding: what are you actually made of when everything external has been stripped away? 15 majors, 82 PGA Tour wins, 5 Masters titles, a rebuilt spine, a rebuilt leg, a rebuilt life. The whole, as Tiger himself once said, is always there. It is the golfer who changes. And Tiger Woods has changed more times than anyone thought one person could survive, and kept walking to the next tee anyway.